So Sean comes into my office and he walks in and he hands me my microphone. He's like, "Hey, I got batteries for you. It's ready to go." I'm like, "Good." And I'm like, "Everything working?" He's like, "Yep, everything's working." And then I go out and my microphone was totally on the wrong channel.
That's what, Scott came back and you said that Don must have hit something.
How has that even happened? In all the years using it, I've never had that happen.
No. It's not an easy thing to change to.
You know that BC Boys song Sabotage? Mm-hmm. That's what plays in my head all the time around here.
I'm sure.
Somebody is messing with us.
100%, yeah.
100%. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the I'm Here For It podcast. My name is Josh Ott. I'm so excited about this episode we have for you today. Listen, wherever you got going on in life, whatever life looks like, I'm here for it. This podcast is here for it. Our guests are here for it. Things may be going great. They may not be going great. You may be on the struggle bus of life, or things may be on easy street. I don't know where that came from. But regardless, I'm here for it. All of it, the good, the bad, the messy, the complexity of life. And that's what this podcast is all about. So welcome to another episode. I got a good one for him today.
Hopefully.
Brody Gray, welcome to the podcast.
I'm here. I'm glad to be here.
I feel like I bullied you into this one.
I've gotten a few texts, and I've unfortunately, unprofessionally haven't responded as quickly as I should.
You ghosted me a little bit.
I mean, I'm here now, so.
I knew how busy you're in a transition to a new job.
Yeah.
Things are crazy for you right now. You got a lot of other personal stuff you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. You just are carrying a lot right now. And so I felt bad, but I'm like, I know if I don't get him before this job starts, it's just going to be way more difficult.
Right.
Which I would have made happen. I would have come in on an evening or whatever, caught you guys after a rehearsal or something, and just forced you into it then.
You know, that's also why I'm at the church now. Is you just gotta like jump into it, and sometimes you get forced into it. So it works out.
So I just really I sent you a lot of texts, and I was embarrassed about it a little bit, and I felt like I was forcing you into it, and I was like trying to find that right spot of pressure, but not too much pressure.
Sometimes I need that though. Like that's how I found that I grow the most is sometimes when I'm just kind of like forced into it. Of like, hey, you're gonna be doing this. I'm like, all right. So it's easier than me. It's easy for me to push off. But
we've had that kind of relationship from the start.
Yeah.
So I don't remember when it was. It was a number of years ago.
Yeah, like 2019 I started coming to.
You just showed up at church.
Yeah. You guys had a cool website, and I was like, I'll check it out.
Why'd you end up coming?
I was going through a rough season at that time.
Yeah.
And I was looking for churches because I knew, there's plenty of other worse things that I could be doing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to start going back to church, and I was looking at local churches, and you guys had a cool website. Admittedly, that's one of the reasons. And I started listening to some of the messages that were on there, and I was like, this kind of feels, relative to life. It's not too preachy. It's real. Like you talked about your struggles and whatnot. And I just kind of dug it and, started showing up. And a couple weeks later, you were like, hey, Scott, this guy has an Instagram.
What happened is we met one Sunday and just chatted after the service. And then I looked you up on Instagram, and I'm like, this guy is like shredding all this stuff on his guitar and putting it on, and you have tons of design stuff on there. I'm like, who is this guy? And I remember going like, Scott, I think I found you a new guitarist or something. And he had been looking for one. So I totally stalked you on Instagram.
Hey.
And then I arranged the meeting. I'm like, Scott, I got a guy. I'm going to introduce you to it.
It's like 10 minutes before service. You're like, hey.
Hey, yeah, here, you're the new guitarist.
Yeah. Hey.
You graciously obliged.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's been the best decision that I've made for sure. So I'm grateful. So
I am grateful for that. Feeling a little convicted, like maybe I bullied you then too. Now that I think about it, is this our relationship? I just text pressure you into stuff.
If that's what it takes. I've grown so much through that, so
I feel like I don't do that though. Have I done that? No. I've not done. Just maybe twice.
No, Twice, yeah.
Just two, really. Right now,
yeah, you got 6-year increments.
Okay, so in another 6 years, I'll come up with something else to.
That works.
For our listeners, this is not how I normally operate with everybody. But you and I, we have a different. I mean, I think I understood you from the beginning, and I think you understood me from the beginning, and it was never any uncomfortable pieces.
No.
Now among your other jobs and things that you're involved in, you even jumped on the team here.
Yeah.
And helped problem solve a lot of stuff.
I try to, yeah.
What was it like coming to church that first time? Was that scary?
Yeah, it was. It was definitely nerve-wracking to, my experience with church was growing up in a small Lutheran church that would have 30 people every Sunday and, super formal and, the robes and gowns and all that. And that's what I was used to.
Right.
And then really my first experience with a more free type church thing was going to Winter Jam for the concert. And truthfully, I was really out of place. I felt really uncomfortable there.
Really?
Because I was so used to you read from a book and that's what it is. And then you're there for 90 minutes and then you go home. And to see people freely in love with Jesus was truthfully odd for me.
Yeah.
So that was my first experience. So I had that and I kind of walked away from it for a while, for a number of years. And then when I started coming here, it was just a whole different experience. And it was simple. There were a couple songs, a message that made sense, and then a couple songs, and that was it. And the first message I heard was called The Isolation Trap. And yeah.
I remember you telling me this.
Yep. Yeah. And it was exactly what I was doing in that season. I was isolating myself, and I was like, shoot, this is really God saying hey, you want a sign? Here it is. And ever since.
It's crazy how sometimes those things work out. I love that series.
It was a good series.
There's the comfort trap, the isolation trap, the money trap. There's a ton of probably just stuff that I was feeling trapped by.
Hey.
There's no big secret to how I put these things together. And sometimes people are like, I feel like you're talking to me. And it's probably because I'm talking to me.
Right.
In these messages. And yeah. So it was strange. What helped you get over that?
I think really just the genuineness of everybody. There wasn't anything that made me feel uncomfortable. There's, I think church has a stigma of, weirdness, and there's always something that is oh, I could do without that or anything.
Yeah.
But when I came, the welcome team was great. The parking team was great. And then the worship was something that I related to, and they played songs that I had heard on the radio as I was trying to inch my way into that life. So just feeling immediately comfortable, and at the time wasn't pressured into anything. It was, I can come here and sit and I can go home, and then that's great. And then a few weeks later was pressure. But,
gentle pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't like.
No.
And good. Yeah. And then you're a phenomenal musician. And what was interesting is when Scott said, guitar isn't even his main. You grew up playing the drums.
Yeah.
But you're a phenomenal guitarist.
Well, thanks.
Lead guitarist for the Nick Tower Band.
Mm-hmm.
How's that? Tell us about that. How'd you end up on?
Yeah, that actually, so I had just been doing the worship team here and everything, and posting covers of 80s rock songs and everything.
Good stuff, by the way.
Hey, but then the lead singer, Nick, he had actually messaged me on Instagram and was like, hey, would you be interested in jamming sometime? I was like, sure, let's jump into it. And we did that. We played we did a few rehearsals, and then I played an acoustic show with him, and then that was kind of.
Then you were in. How long have you been playing with that band?
2 years or so. So kind of helping, trying to write some stuff and playing shows, and kind of taking a break at the moment. But it's there, and it's a great group of guys. And
is the band taking a break, or you're just taking a break?
The band in a general, people have lives and families and stuff like that. But,
that's the hard part. You guys are very good. I'm assuming probably a lot of our listeners maybe not have connected the dots, but have seen you at shows.
Oh,
the
sure.
Nick Tower Band is phenomenal, country rock kind of. kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Nick's got incredible vocals. It's just...
He's unreal. He's such a gifted musician, songwriter, and frontman. And yeah, it's a great group of guys.
I mean, it's the whole thing really is... I mean, it's legit.
It is, yeah.
For guys that are working jobs, having families, like I don't... It's hard to find something, I think, in my opinion, better than what you guys are kind of cranking out.
Right. It's been such a different, there's not very many, when people hear country, they think, oh, I don't like country.
Yeah.
But then when they see Nick Tower Band, they're like, okay, I could actually get on board with this, because it's a different kind of vibe, and it feels authentic to who we are too.
Yeah. It's almost like it's got a bit of almost like you should put the rock in front of the country.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit.
Country rock, which I think is what is so cool about the music you guys play and the show you guys put on. It's a vibe. It's not, typical country music. And I like all kinds of music, but it's definitely a vibe.
Yeah, yeah.
I keep waiting for something to jump off, and click you guys up another level.
Yeah, we're hoping. I mean, we have a song that's playing on iRock Radio now.
What's the name of the song?
Reckless Renegades.
Yeah.
And you can find that on Spotify, Apple Music, and all that. I'll give a shameless plug.
No, we're going to plug it. Yeah, because I love the band.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah. So, we're hoping that, as we kind of take this break, take a breath for this season, and then kick it back up with whatever that looks like, that that next phase will be something big for all of us. So it's exciting, for sure.
It's pretty cool, and I'd encourage anybody out there to go see a show.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. And you just shred, even when you're here at the Grace Grace Free Band, Grace Worship Band.
Yeah, yeah.
It's sometimes I sit back, because we have a lot of really talented musicians in our band, most of them whom have played in different bands, from Hooligans to the thousands of bands that Scott has been a part of or run or whatever.
Yep.
And then you got Maddie, who's just starting out in her music career, which is very exciting to be watching. It's a tight show. It's not a show at church, but sometimes I sit there and I go and I just listen to music and I'm like, holy cow. I can't believe they're playing that way.
Right.
Especially when you and Ben are both complimenting each other on guitars.
That's been really, really fun having him on the team.
Yeah.
Because he brings such a different perspective, that he plays stuff that I would never think to play, and to be able to bounce back and forth with him, and he'll take something and then I'll hear it in my in-ears and I'll be like, oh, that was cool. And then of course I get distracted because I'm like, oh, that was so cool. But yeah, he's been great to play against, for sure.
Have you always been in bands? Is that part of your story for a long time?
So my musical journey, I've had family for years who have been musicians, and I have some insane bluegrass musicians in my family, and I started out with guitar in second grade, and I learned Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Dude, second grade is young.
That's young, yeah. a little small guitar.
At second grade, I was drooling on myself, and you're playing guitar.
Yeah, yeah, so I learned the blues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of there. It was, just something. And then my mom, God love her, in fifth grade, she was like, bro, you're really indoorsy. You don't really do anything. You just kind of you don't create trouble, but you just kind of hang out and read books. She's like, you're either joining football or join a band.
No option.
That was what she was like,
yeah,
you're doing something.
Talk about two polar opposite choices.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I watched football. I didn't really show an affinity for playing football. But I was like, all right, well, I'll join band. So I joined band, started playing drums, and yeah, just kind of fell in love with that and the leadership that it kind of brought of it. I became the section leader for our marching band in high school, and yeah, I got a drum set, and then that's when I kind of started joining, rock bands that, me and my friends we would play, Metallica covers in my parents' upstairs, and, we would just go nuts with that. And we played a few shows here and there, but it was hard to find, the right balance of writing your own music and wanting to play. And, so I kind of took a break from that for a while after high school. And then picked up guitar when I moved back into an apartment, because I couldn't play drums in an apartment very well. And then, yeah, that kind of brings me to Grace Free Church. And it brings me to Nick Tower Band. So it's kind of been like an ebb and flow of what I'm doing in life. But
it's always been a part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your favorite part about it? Like, is it a release? Is it an escape? Is it an expression? You're a very artistic, creative guy.
Yeah, it's really kind of all the above. I mean, it really is. There's just kind of a moment when something you don't know when it hits you, whether it's, serving on stage here, or whether it's going to a concert, or whether it's playing a show. There's just always at some point during that time that something hits you and you just kind of get chills and you get goosebumps, and it's like just this wave of relief, and whatever's going on in your life just kind of disappears for that hour or that 30 minutes or whatever, and you just feel a sense of calm. So it's definitely something that is just freeing, and it kind of gets rid of your anxiety and stuff. So it's been such a vice for me to just be able to put myself into. So
do you have any crazy band stories? Like, what's the nuttiest thing you've ever been a part of?
I will say there was one Nick Tower show that we played in Bloomsburg that we showed up at 5:00 to load in.
Yeah,
it was all great, and we're just all kind of sitting around and playing games on iPads and eating wings and stuff. And the show didn't start till like 8-9 o'clock, and it was a 3-hour show. Didn't start tearing down until like midnight. Didn't get home until 2 a.m, and then I had to open up the church the next day. So I got like 4 hours of sleep to get into here, and then help lead worship. And that was just crazy because of you're playing country music and in a bar and all this kind of stuff, and then just a couple hours later you're here serving for a 9:30 a.m. service. So just being able to switch your brain like that for those two different things it's cool though, because you still put yourself into both of those situations.
Yeah, I love that though. I think like whatever you do, right? Like you're doing it with the gifts that, in my belief, and I know not everybody listening maybe shares this belief, but you're using the gifts that like God's given you, and any expression of that I think is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So like rocking out with Nick Tower, probably just as worshipful as leading worship here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Some of the most meaningful, like worshipful moments have been in, honestly, like not church sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, how I talked before, I was super uncomfortable going to a Christian festival concert,
right.
But then I saw Skillet, which is, one of the biggest Christian rock bands that there is, at a theater, and I had a beer spilled on me and all this, but that moment was like so, like I felt the Holy Spirit wash over me in that concert. And that's what's crazy. It's like, this is just a secular show, and it's, just a rock show, but that's when I felt it the most. So it's crazy how the Spirit works that way.
Yeah. Who spilled the beer on you?
Some guy.
Just a random?
Yep. Just walking by me and all over my leather jacket, and
Oh man, that's on the leather.
Yeah. I had to throw that out. But
get out of here.
Yeah.
So here's something that I think is that I appreciate a lot about you, and I think me and our listeners, we've talked about this a little bit, but I think me and my listeners could be more like this. I don't even know all of them, but I guarantee you I drive on the same streets, and some of them could. We've had a lot of like crazy stuff going wrong since our new move. We moved buildings. We're in a much bigger building now. We moved all our tech. We upgraded a bunch of tech. Most of the tech though and sound stuff had been used in our old building. So it wasn't like, but we've had one thing after another go wrong here. Like just absolutely insane, like pushing most of us to the brink.
Yeah.
Like Scott and I had been, we'd be in here in this office going like, I'm going to go smash that thing with a sledgehammer, or let's go put it in the lake. Like legitimately fantasizing about taking tens of $1,000s worth of equipment and lighting it on fire. Like mind boggling. Like, and then the support teams don't know what to do. The companies don't know what to do. Eventually they replaced a bunch of stuff and found out that it was just somehow fried.
Yeah.
But, it was like nutty. But you come in and you lead, and you've done this whenever Scott's on vacation. You come in and you lead, and you just always have this real calming presence. Like you present as, "Hey guys, it's gonna be okay. I got this. We'll figure it out." We're just calm. And even me, like who's probably the one who should be the example of calmness in those situations, I like come away from that going like, "All right, whatever. It'll be all right." Is that how you are, or is that just how you present?
I have a lot of internal anxiety for sure.
Yeah.
Just consistently. But yeah, I think there's something about in situations when, someone else is kind of freaking out over something or if something's going wrong that I try to just, let's look at what I can control.
Yeah.
And try to solve that. And if we can't, then there's always a plan B. So, situations where I've led and Scott's not here and all the tech doesn't work and you have to, figure out something on the fly, we're lucky enough that, like you said, we have such a great group of musicians that they're so like willing and able to just kind of jump into whatever plan we kind of, cook up. So, in situations like that, having that support as well has been such a benefit to me that I know that while I'm looked at to have the answers in those situations, we know that we're all in it together and, we all rise and we all fail together. And that's just kind of what it is. So, I try to present as a pretty chill person because one, I think it might like help other people be like,
definitely does.
Hey, if Brody's chill, we're chill. But yeah, there's things that I wrestle with inside for sure that, I want to succeed. I want things to go well. I want, to not be a distraction or anything. But, there's a quote from the Harry Potter movies actually that I think about a lot. That is, worrying just means that you have to suffer twice.
Hey,
so I'm like, why worry? And I need to heed that a little more in my personal life for sure. But, situations like that, like, we'll figure it out. And if we don't, we don't. And we just keep moving forward with a different plan.
Moving forward.
Yep.
Have you wrestled with anxiety in your personal life? Like, has that been or any mental health kind of stuff?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I've had depression and anxiety for a long time. Whether it's through personal seasons, and there's an ebb and flow where sometimes things just feel great, and it's all good. And then it just kind of hits you. And I know I deal a decent amount with imposter syndrome at times. And I know you and I have talked about that offline, and I probably struggle with that every Sunday. And I'm like, am I supposed to be up there doing this? Are they going to find out I'm a fraud or something? It's like, it's something that you wrestle with. But I tried through, therapy and through talking to church leaders that I can trust and family members I can trust. I've found that, I just need to control what I can control and just try to be there for myself and for others. And
so you've done a lot of work to get there.
Yeah. And it's not perfect by all means,
no.
And I don't know that it'll ever be perfect.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I you've heard me describe this probably before, but like, I have anxiety stuff, and I feel like that's always going to be a part of my life. Mm-hmm. And I feel like God can do some stuff, and you can get help, and you can go to therapy, and man, you really can learn how to manage it and see it coming and avoid triggers, and you can be in a much better, healthy place. So if you're listening, like, it doesn't ever have to control your life or ruin your life. It can always get better. I don't want anybody to get stuck in that kind of space thinking that it's always going to be this bad. It's not always going to be this bad. But I do think that, like, I always have it. Mm-hmm. It's always got potential to be there. Yeah. And sometimes it's like I'm holding a poisonous snake by the tail. I gotta pay attention to it, mm-hmm. And I get good at holding it and figuring it out and avoiding the stings and all that stuff. But, I think in this broken world, it's just part of our human existence, the complexity that makes it beautiful and hard at the same time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for me, it was important to understand that there's so much help and there's so much good and there's so many tools and there's so much to be grateful for. And it's not always going to feel like this, but also that I don't have to carry the burden of wondering why it's not gone, like,
Yeah.
because that can be a burden. And when you say imposter syndrome, you're talking about feeling like you're in a position that you don't have no business being in.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to the club, man. I think that's what, one time you texted me, like, you were in a spot, you were just struggling. You're like, hey, man, I'm just feeling like this imposter syndrome and like fraud, and maybe, I don't know, who am I to be up there? And I think that was my not very I was a blunt response.
Yeah, you're like, same.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yep.
The water's warm, jump on in.
Yeah.
Everybody listening has some sort of imposter syndrome at some point, unless you're like a sociopath.
Right. I'm perfect at everything.
Yeah. Who is that person?
Right.
And I do not want to know them or spend any time with them.
No.
But like, I mean, I hear it all the time from people. Like, I don't know, do I belong in this job? Am I equipped to be this kind of manager? That we get thrown into situations, I think, that are difficult, and they stretch us. And then we have everybody on some level has some insecurities rolling around in their heart, messages from our past, and voices that we probably shouldn't be listening to anymore, but they're there and they exist and are wired into us. And when we hit our insecurities and things get like difficult, and we go like, what in the world? Why am I doing this or here? I don't belong here. If they knew, like,
right.
Holy cow. And I think that's a pretty common.
That's what I've been learning too. I mean, that it's not just me.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. And I just try to trust that, God is using me where he wants to use me, and for whatever season that is.
Yeah.
To be transparent, I had a job for about 6 months, and it seemed like the dream job. I was, working in ministry, and it was great. Like I loved it. And I was like, finally, like the place where I can put my art and things together. And unfortunately things didn't work out the way that I wanted it to work out, but it's realizing it's not about what I want.
Yeah.
And that taught me a lot, and I'm grateful for the new opportunity I have coming, but it's just trusting that, like, you might think you have it all figured out, and it's okay that you don't, because a better thing could be on the way.
Yeah. And also, what people say about you is that's not the truth. Like, that doesn't define you. Right. You get rejected from a job. Somebody walks out on you. You're betrayed by a friend. All these different, not you, I'm just talking to us in general, like people, humanity, all these different things happen, and we want to wear them as labels. Some part of us wants to take them and go like, maybe I am a failure. Maybe I did deserve this, or maybe I'm not good enough. And we wear those like they're our identity. And what we need to do is shed that nonsense and really adopt our true identity, which for me is a process of faith. That's something that I source not from what I do or who I am or what people think of me, but from who I believe God has made me to be, and what he's given me and what he's called me to do, which is completely different. Right. And here's another thing with imposter syndrome. Do you want a pastor who goes, oh, I'm the best. I got it. I got all the answers. I'm like, they're just perfect.
Right.
Like,
That's like,
no, I don't want to listen to that nonsense.
No.
I want to listen to somebody who's like just as messed up as me, but a little further down the road.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really what kept me coming to this church. I mean, coming from a Lutheran church, that gave me my basis of like, here's what the Bible is, and here's this, and it got me started. But I couldn't relate as much to, a pastor who's in robes and is, speaking all this, stuff. And I'm like, I don't know how to spell Nebuchadnezzar. Like, you know what I mean? Right? So, coming here and, seeing you wearing an Eagles jersey on stage while you're here, you're preaching and talking like through that.
You just outed me on the podcast for the first time as an Eagles fan.
I mean,
it's not come up yet.
Hey, you're welcome. It's the first time for anything. I'm wearing green today.
Now half of our listeners are going to hate me. Go Birds. Brandon was going to be on this at some point, so it was going to be.
Oh, then it was gonna be all Philly sports was going to come up then. Yeah. But
and the Lutheran stuff, like liturgy and all that. I have many Lutheran friends. Liturgy and that kind of reverence is important for some people.
Yeah.
And it's great. And that's a great expression for some people, and where they should be going to, as long as it's teaching the Bible and not some other agenda, and it's focused on Jesus, like that's for sure where they should be.
Yeah.
But it's not for everybody. And obviously you needed at this point in your life something different.
Yeah. I needed, I had gone through some tough things, and I had friends who, their immediate way of helping was to, quote scripture to me and whatnot, which is probably what I should have been intaking for sure. But I'm like, I need a human moment here. I need to be like, yeah, that sucks, man. Like I needed to hear that. And I wasn't. So yeah, that's definitely in that season. That's not what
and that's a problem too, though. Like when we preach at people who are struggling, that's a problem. Like that's not what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Or you throw verses at a situation just to try to like correct a behavior or encourage, like, I don't know. That's like that kind of like bumper sticker cliche Christianity. I guess this is supposed to be a transparent podcast. So I'll just say, I got no time for it.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in it.
Right.
Don't say it to me, and I don't want to say it to you. There's times where scripture, I think, and there's certain verses that can be so encouraging and so helpful, but I better be listening and hearing, allowing people that human moment to just get it out, be a mess, whatever.
Yeah.
So you're also into design. We talked about music, but you're big into designing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you've designed stuff for me, and I don't know if you want to take credit for it or not, but like my book cover, I like had this concept. I surprised, and you cleaned it up for me. You designed it, yeah.
You designed it.
I designed it. See, you don't want to take credit for it, but it's like that's something that's supposed to be messy. Like that's what I wanted, and I could say to you, this is not going to look like any other Christian book. I'd want it to look like a mess on the outside because it's about how life is a mess.
Right.
I want it to have yellow and black and catch somebody's eye. And I think when I showed my original concept, which you made so much better, my son was like, "Why did you have a kid draw that?" Why'd you have a kid draw the cover for your book? I said, it's not a kid drawing it. It's supposed to be like this stick figure plus the cross, and like somebody scribbled it in a Sharpie,
right?
On a piece of paper, like, because they're a mess and they don't have time to do anything else. It's just like, this is a picture of what the book is like.
Yeah.
But you got that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And what you were able to do is take. I wish I could show. I wish I would have printed it out. I would show both of them together, like the original one, and then what you made it, because what you made it is way better.
No, I've kind of fallen in love with graphic design. I mean, I've been an artistic kid since. I mean, I would draw along to Bob Ross and figure out I'd put the sun in the corner of the paper and all that, and I was always into art and anything. But when it came to like choose a career path, I didn't really, love painting or anything like that. Where like I don't need a painting hung up in a museum or anything like that. Not that I was that good for sure, but I was like, if I can do something with art that'll also kind of help people, I'd love to do that. So I learned what graphic design was really my senior year of high school, and just learned that it's, book covers, but it's also brochures or signage for a hospital or things like that. I mean, really, when you learn what graphic design is, you kind of learn that it's everywhere. I mean, there's so much that actually is graphic design. And when I learned the power of that, that's when I was like, oh yeah, I want to be a part of that. If it's making a logo for a small business that, you get paid a taco for, like, that's great. Like, or if, you get paid a decent amount of money to do something, like it's about helping people. And that's why I kind of fell in love with it. So to be able to do that professionally, and then personally as well, it's just become such a passion for me. And there is just this expression to it that, you're allowed to do, or you're allowed to have a way that you see it. And, like you said, if you have a vision for something, and then I can come in and and kind of like tweak it and fine tune it and see like, hey, here's what you want. Here's might be what you need. And we kind of put it together. And I think that's part of the communication aspect of it too, that I enjoy.
You also know how to express what I wanted or what the people you work for want or what you want to express. But what I think is interesting and the difference between, I like playing around with that stuff.
Yeah.
But you really know how somebody sees it too. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the magic piece. Like, because I remember pitching you ideas for like, stuff here, and you being like, you're so nice about it. You're never like, dude, that sucks. Here's the better way to do it. But you're like, yeah, maybe we could create a little more space for the eye, this way. Or these fonts, maybe if we did this, it would look a little cleaner. And it's like, oh, yeah.
Right.
And then I'm going like, Brody understands how somebody sees it. Mm-hmm. He's not thinking, I'm thinking about what do I want to put on it and what I want to say and what vibe do I want it to have. Mm-hmm. And you're going, okay, I get the vibe and I get the information, but also this is how somebody is going to see this piece.
Right.
And so what you do is like, you know how to combine the two worlds, how something is perceived and how something is communicated. And I think that's like some of the coolest part of what you do.
It is pretty cool. Yeah. It's, I'm in a way for some of that, like a glorified middleman in a way of like, taking the client's vision and seeing like, okay, who's going to be interacting with this? Who's the consumer? And then, bridging that gap of, here's this awesome concept, but here's kind of how people are going to interact with it, like you said, and here's how people are going to resonate with it or how it's going to resonate with them. And I think that's kind of where I or other graphic designers like myself would come in. And I think that's the important part of it, is the communication of making sure that what the vision is clear, but also making sure that someone's not just going to look at it and be like, oh, that's cool, and then move on. It's going to be like, oh, there's something to that, and let it stick with them and think about it.
I think that's probably why you're so good in a tough situation where things are escalating at calming people down too. Because you're seeing what needs to be done, but you're also seeing how things are being perceived, or how you're thinking about how someone's going to take the news, or receive it. Yeah, that's something that the world needs a lot more of in every aspect in life, dude. Seriously,
for sure. Yeah,
what a train wreck we make things when we think in our homes, like somebody comes in and this is what I need to say and this is how I need to say it. Yeah, and but also like we miss so much, we cause so much conflict. We screw up our parenting so much, when our relationships, apply it to any and every aspect, when we are just thinking about how it's said and not thinking about how it's received.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. It's we live in very much a me culture, and it's about what I want to do and what I want to receive, and it's less about what our actions or what we're trying to say does for other people. So it's something that I try to pay attention to as a creative professional, as a musician, as a manager of people. Like that's just something that I always try to keep top of mind, is how someone else is going to perceive news, music, performance, whatever it is.
There's someone listening right now who probably would have had a better morning if instead of just saying what they wanted to say or what needed to be said, thought about how their spouse or their kid was going to receive, or their parent, or whatever was going to receive it. That's such a big part of working with human beings. And you do that, I think, in each aspect of life. You do it in how you communicate with people just in general, and also in what you design, which I think is so cool. All right. What are you here for in this season of life? You got anything?
Oh, man. Just...
if you say pumpkin spice lattes...
I mean, I'm not against it.
It's a little early. Come on.
It's a little early. It's only May.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll wait till June. But for this season, really, I'm here for, growth. It's been a tough season. It's been a tough year for me. And there's been a lot of opportunities where I've, handled things the way I should. And there's been things that I've handled probably the way I shouldn't. Yeah. And I'm really just looking for growth and listening to God and listening to what he's telling me to do and where to go. There's a quote from a long time ago that you had said in a message, and it's really resonated with me in this season, and it's been, don't let a season be the season.
Oh, yeah.
And I've really been trying to like keep a hold of that, of like, yeah, some things in life suck right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on that's not good, for me personally and in the world, but just kind of holding true and trusting and to get through it. So that's really what I'm here for in this season.
That's so powerful. Just knowing that, a moment is just a moment, a week is a week, a season is a season, and that these things pass and change. Mm-hmm. What do you got for somebody that's dealing with imposter syndrome? They're looking at their life, they're thinking like, I'm a mom. What am I doing being a mom? Or I'm like, I got this job. I don't know if I belong in this job, or they're, whether it's spiritually connected or not. Somebody that's dealing with imposter syndrome, what's a piece of advice or something you'd say to them?
Yeah, I think spiritually speaking, I mean, there are countless people in Scripture that God has used that have been so ill-equipped to do any of the things that he's asked them to do. And they are the most inspirational figures that there can be. So I think just knowing that you're doing what you're doing and you're supposed to be. Yeah. And it's not always going to feel right. None of us are perfect. None of us are going to figure out everything all the time. But just kind of, keep at it, and you're going to be discouraged, but know that you're going to be discouraged. And if you know that's going to happen, it kind of makes it a little easier of like, I'm not going to get this perfect. Yeah. And just say that statement and then move on to the next. That's how I've been trying to handle it. If I know I'm not always going to get it right, but if I can.
I think that's so powerful. You're being transparent with yourself.
Yeah.
You're being like honest with yourself. Yeah. Transparency is such a huge, powerful thing these days.
Absolutely.
And that's the first time I ever had that thought, like, oh, I just need to be authentic and transparent with myself sometimes too, and be like, yeah, it's not okay, but it's going to be okay. I'm going to mess parts of this up, and that's going to be okay because we're still going to come out of the other end. Right. And that applies to so many different things. I'm like thinking of parenting, how many times I was like, man, I'm screwing up my kids. And I had a therapist one time go like, yeah, but your parents probably did the same stuff. You love your parents. You had a good relationship with them, right? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, they made plenty of these mistakes too.
That's what I've learned as I've grown up. I'm like, everyone, you see people, like I see you, and I'm like, he's got it all figured out. And then when you start talking to people, you're like, no, we are all just winging it through life.
As soon as I open my mouth, you go, yeah, this guy does that.
But it's so refreshing when like people can be honest with themselves and with others. Yeah. Of like, I don't got it all figured out, and I certainly don't. I probably never will. But
nope.
Just doing what you're equipped to do in the moment you're equipped to do it.
It's a journey, man.
It is.
It's such a journey.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where can people find your art, music? Give us the stuff.
Yeah, graydesigncompany.net is my portfolio website, so they can check out some cool stuff that I've done for Grace Free Church or in my personal design life. And on Instagram, Brody Gray Music. I haven't posted in a while, but if you're interested in Halloween things or Jurassic Park things, or I'll post music on there every once in a while. So yeah, give me a follow. And
did you hear about this? There's people bringing back dinosaurs.
Really?
Have you heard about this?
I've not.
Oh man, there's some big organization. I forget the name of it right now. I should remember it. They're trying to bring back a woolly mammoth. They brought back dire wolves.
Interesting.
From DNA, and I'm like.
There's 6 movies saying
have
don't do
you
this.
Not watched these movies?
Yeah.
We all know how this story ends.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Chris Pratt is up for it again.
Probably not. He's on to other things.
What is wrong with us as humanity? Like, oh, here's an idea.
Yeah.
And their whole thing is like, well, we want to balance the place ecologically. And I'm like, you're one amusement park away from being a movie.
Yeah.
I'm not getting eaten by any of these things.
No. We got out of the food chain. Let's stay out.
Just stay out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, it was great having you on here.
No, thanks. I
Thanks
appreciate
so
it.
much for taking time. I know how crazy and busy your life is right now. Sorry for the extra pressure.
No, I appreciate the pressure because it kicks me into gear to do some stuff.
All right, good. Well, everybody, thanks so much for being here and being a part of this episode of the I'm Here For It podcast. Whatever life looks like, I'm here for it. Our guests are here for it. This podcast is here for it. Life is complex and messy, and we all get a little bit of imposter syndrome from time to time. None of us are perfect. It's okay. Embrace it. And we're here for it. Some of the most special stuff comes when through people who feel like they don't belong, but still step out and add to their world and love and help people. So I'm glad you're on this journey with us. I can't wait to catch you on the next episode of the I'm Here For It podcast. See ya. Thanks for tuning in to the I'm Here For It podcast. Just a quick reminder, the thoughts and opinions shared on this show are our own. They don't necessarily represent the thoughts and opinions of our employers, our places of business, our families, or maybe even people that don't want to be associated with us anymore. And honestly, sometimes we even question our own thoughts and opinions after these shows have aired. We're not doctors, therapists, lawyers, experts in anything except maybe overthinking things. Well, maybe some of our guests are some of those things, but for real, this podcast is not about offering you professional or therapeutic help. We're just here having fun. It's for entertainment purposes and maybe a little bit of education. Yeah, we hope it can make your life better and make you smile and encourage you a little bit. But seriously, this is more like a group chat that you didn't know you needed. So don't take anything too seriously from us without at least double checking it with someone who actually knows stuff. Stay kind, stay curious, and no matter how weird it gets, we're here for it.